I just saw your new show. It's called Detroiters.
Yes.
With Tim Robinson, who's a Saturday Night Live writer.
Yep.
So how did you guys, was there a desire to sit down and come up with a show?
Well, Tim and I had come up through the comedy scene in Detroit together. Then Tim went out to New York because he got cast in SNL, later became a writer. And then I moved out to Los Angeles and started working. So the whole time though, we were like, we just want to come back to Detroit. We want to bring something back to Detroit. We want to go to Detroit. Then Jason Sudeikis was with Tim in New York and said, why don't you and Sam do a show together? And we're like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. No, do it, and I'll produce it. So we got on the phone and said, let's do a show together. And I was like, yes, we've got to do this show. And from the get-go, we were like, well, it's just got to be about us and our friendship. It's got to be about, because how much we love each other, and how much fun we have, this got to be it. And then also it's got to be about Detroit, because it's all we ever talk about.
Yeah.
And show Detroit in a positive light, which it never is on television.
Yeah.
So we found this ad man thing because it, we find the local commercials of Detroit so endearing that these, they were like, well, how about these guys are the ones who put so much love into these commercials that are low budget, and these guys are punching out of their weight class, but then that's also speaks to that Detroit spirit of this indomitable will. They just don't give up. So the next step is to just start telling stories about Tim and I, things that have happened to us in our past, things that are true of us. And that kind of filters itself out into these just storyboards.
So a note card with...
like a note card, exactly.
What might a note card say?
A note card might say, Tim's a terrible wingman. So,
in real life and on the show.
We do our shows at Second City, and Tim's married with kids, is married to his high school sweetheart. So, very loving, very...
No wingman experience.
No wingman experience. Also, he just wants to hang out with his friend.
Right.
So we would do our show at Second City, and I'm single, so I'm like, oh, great. Afterwards, we'd go across the street, go to the bar, and people would see us in the show, and then they'd come to talk to us. What better lead-in than having performed a 3-hour show, and a beautiful woman comes up and is like, hey, I saw your show. And I'm like, oh, great. And Tim would be like, great, thanks, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to talk to my friend, but thank you. And they'd be like, oh, sorry. And I'd be like, Tim, you're married, I'm not married. Stop doing this.